Things are not looking up for the Sacramento Kings and their all-star level point guard, De'Aaron Fox. I'm here to break down how the Miami Heat are going to be a massive player in this major breakup in the NBA. I'll break down all of that on this episode of Heat Digest, so let's not waste any time and get to it, breaking down the massive De'Aaron Fox updates. Now, I will say before we get into the new information that we have at hand, I will say this is not the first time we've had conversations about De'Aaron Fox on this channel. Obviously, because it is very intriguing to think that if De'Aaron Fox is remotely available, whether it be in the offseason through free agency or via trade in the middle of the season or again in the offseason, it would be very, very intriguing for this Miami Heat team to be involved in that conversation, as well as possibly even landing someone like De'Aaron Fox on this Miami Heat team, as he would fit the molding of the Miami Heat point guard very, very well. A defensive-minded guy who is very, very fast and has the ability to push the ball in transition, as well as also really facilitating in the open court as well as in the half-court offense. And then obviously you add his offensive game where he can also go out and get a bucket really at any time. Again, whether it be the opening quarter or the last seconds of the game, it doesn't seem like the moment is ever too big for the point guard in De'Aaron Fox. Now, to highlight the older stories that make this whole story really a full circle moment as things are really starting to unravel in Sacramento now as of December 27th. This is from June 24th of this year. Yes, a long time ago, but again, this is massive because of this conversation and how things seem like they are actually going to play out in Sacramento, as things again are really, but slowly but surely picking up. Now, again, from NBA Central on Twitter from, again, June 24th of this year, De'Aaron Fox will not sign an extension with the Kings this summer, as he wants to first see the long-term vision for the team's roster, per Anthony V. Slater and Sam Amick. Going on to quote, saying, and I quote, "Fox's future looms in the background too, as league sources say the all-star guard has decided to not sign an extension this year, in part because he wants to see how the roster takes shape for the long haul. Fox, who has 2 seasons left on his current deal, wants to win at the highest level and could also qualify for a significantly larger max if he makes an all-NBA team." And that's the end of the quote, again, from Anthony Slater and Sam Amick on Twitter. And again, this quote is relatively old. It's back from the summertime in the middle of the offseason for the NBA. And again, going into this current season that we are in, where De'Aaron Fox, yes, a very good player, someone that you could build your franchise around, as again, he is still so very young with a lot of upside, as again, he's only in his 20s, still 27 years of age, I believe, coming out of the University of Kentucky. And with saying that, the University of Kentucky is going to have a massive piece of this puzzle when we discuss De'Aaron Fox and possibly landing in the Miami Heat organization because of the teammates he used to have at Kentucky. Now, obviously, Malik Monk was one of his past teammates at the University of Kentucky, where it was an elite level team that, again, is kind of funny looking back at it now, as these names are ridiculous to think they were on one college roster all at the same time. De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, Bam Adebayo, which again is what we're going to highlight in this video, as it seems like the standing relationship between those two might be very, very significant later down the line. Now, this report is much more recent as of, again, today from NBA Central, saying the Miami Heat are a team to watch for De'Aaron Fox due to his connection with Bam Adebayo, per ESPN_McMahon on Twitter, going on to say, and I quote, "There's also been talk about Miami, given his connection to Bam Adebayo. Who knows what other suitors might emerge, or which of these teams will actually pursue him if it comes to that." And again, they are taking this quote from this article that we're going to highlight and really read that quote in its totality. NBA rumors, Rockets, Spurs, Lakers, Heat could be in the mix for De'Aaron Fox. Now, I think the list is going to be a bit longer when things actually start to pick up and there's an actual concrete idea that De'Aaron Fox could be acquired in the relative future, in the sense of, hey, trade deadline's quickly approaching. They're most likely not going to move him this season. I do not believe they will. I'll give you my entire idea behind that towards the end of this video. But these teams, like the Lakers, like the Spurs, like the Heat, they definitely will, most likely, if I had to guess, will be calling Sacramento just to check in at this deadline to make sure there's nothing too intriguing on the receiving end that they could possibly offer, resulting in De'Aaron Fox being moved as soon as the season. Again, I don't believe that will happen, but again, we'll break down that in just a second. Now, from that article that we're highlighting, it goes on the site, Tim McMahon, as he goes on to say, and I quote, Now, if Fox is going to ask out, it seems like the tea leaves are pointing that way. Still, I'm not sure if it's definite. When you're appearing on podcasts with Draymond Green, and laying groundwork, you can see how people read into it. If Fox ask out, teams like San Antonio and Houston are the ones to watch. I've also heard rumors about the Lakers, but it's hard to tell how much of that is just speculation because he's a clutch client. Going on to continue to say, there's also been talk about Miami, given his connection with Bam Adebayo. Who knows what other suitors might emerge, or which of these teams will actually pursue him if it comes to that. And that is the end of the quote, again, from Tim McMahon from this article that we're citing. And this is relatively big. Now, obviously, he mentions a few teams there in the Rockets, the Spurs, the Lakers, the Heat. I believe there are going to be a bunch more if De'Aaron Fox is readily available for trade or any form of transaction, because he's De'Aaron Fox. Now, when I say things aren't looking up in Sacramento, it's not just because now this drama surrounding De'Aaron Fox is escalating, but things have really started to boil over, and that is why I think the conversations are going to start to pick up just a bit. Again, I don't think a transaction, a blockbuster, and again, this would be blockbuster, whether he goes to Miami, whether he goes to Houston, San Antonio, whatever team you would like to pick to hypothetically assume or think they're going to go out and acquire this young all-star level point guard in De'Aaron Fox. It's blockbuster. Again, it does not matter which team he ends up going to, regardless of the hypothetical situation you put it in. But now, the Sacramento Kings fire their coach. Now, this is huge. No one really expected Mike Brown to be fired in the middle of the season. Things have not looked great for the Sacramento Kings up to this point in the year. You can't argue that. This is the Western Conference standings as of today, again, December 27th. There are still a handful of games still currently going on, as it's 11:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so the Western Conference still has a few games going on, so it's not rightly 100% accurate. A few teams are going to have either a win or a loss in the column tomorrow, and again, these half-game spots like Denver, who is currently active in a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who look very good. That is terrifying. But again, the reason we're talking about this is the Kings. They are currently out of the play-in. They're not in the playoffs in any way, shape, or form. If the season ended today, sitting in the 10th seed at 13-16 for the season, 12 games behind the first place seed in the Western Conference. Now, if you told me they were the number 1, 2, or 3 seed in the Western Conference, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be blown away. Yes, it's very competitive in the West, but if you look at this roster, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Lyles, these guys are very, very good. Keegan Murray, this is a very well put together team, but they just have not found a way to win. Now, De'Aaron Fox did commit a late foul on a three-point shot that he should not have even been contesting. Mike Brown made that a public quote after the game, and because of it, it did not sit well with De'Aaron Fox. It seems like, as well as the Kings organization, and they were on the side of their all-star level point guard, and because of that, it seems like Mike Brown has now been canned. It's unfortunate to see. He's a damn good basketball coach, and he's going to have a job very, very soon. Once again, it would not surprise me if by the end of this season, if not going into the offseason, he is once again a head coach in the National Basketball Association, if not an assistant somewhere on a very, very good team. As again, if he is your assistant coach, your coaching tree, if not your coaching just layout, is very, very good if that's the case. Now, this is the current Miami Heat team. As we all know, Heroes moved back to that starting point guard position. If we were to acquire someone like De'Aaron Fox, it'd be very interesting to see what that package would require. Possibly Jovic, Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, these guys. De'Aaron Fox is going to have a lot of value. When they do make a trade to then release him, or to move him, I should say, it is going to be drastic. That's why I called it blockbuster, and it's seriously, it's going to be, it would not surprise me. Once again, the highlight, or the picture of the depth chart from when De'Aaron Fox was in Kentucky, the University of Kentucky, that is. And the last report we are going to highlight is this one, saying the Sacramento Kings have entered a, quote, danger zone, end of quote, with De'Aaron Fox, per Sam Amick. This is from NBA Central on Twitter from 6 days ago on December 21st, just adding a bit more of fuel to the fire that is De'Aaron Fox and the speculation surrounding him. Going on to say, again, quoting Sam Amick from an article, while league sources say Fox has not asked for a trade, the former All-Star's prominent and his prominent agent are reading the room in Sacramento before deciding what comes next. Fox, who hired Paul in November of 2022, has another season left on his current deal. So again, Rich Paul seems like he's going to be very active, as now De'Aaron Fox is a clutch sports agent or client, if you will, for, again, Rich Paul, a Clutch sports agent. And it seems like he's going to be very aggressive, and they are going to be very, very, again, efficient and good at what they do, like they always are, getting their clients and their players taken care of very, very well, as they should be. De'Aaron Fox is an elite level player, and again, if I could see him in Miami, I think that would be fantastic. I think it would come at the end of this year. Jimmy Butler, most likely, if I had to take a wild guess, at the end of this year, Jimmy Butler goes to free agency. He does not return to the Miami Heat, causes a bidding war in free agency. He lands to the highest paying suitor, and De'Aaron Fox possibly is moved for a bunch of very good players like Jovic, like, I don't think Pelle Larsson goes anywhere. Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, I think are possibly a package plus or minus another piece in there to land the all-star point guard. To move Tyler Hero definitely to that shooting guard position and play him alongside the former teammate at Kentucky in Bam Adebayo. It'd be a very different looking Miami Heat team, but it's very intriguing to think about to improve not only defensively, but as well as the point guard position for this Miami Heat team. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this possible move for the Miami Heat, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.